In today's episode, we're going to talk about the badge system. Hi, I am Elysium and welcome to my channel. And Andrew's here. Hi, Andrew, how are you?
Hi, Elysium. Yes, I'm very good. Thank you very much for asking me to come back. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. So I asked you to come along because I really wanted to get into talking about the badges. So this week, I made a video which was all about meritocracy.
I remember. Very, very good video.
Even though I wasn't necessarily very complimentary about football.
Yeah, but not wanting to turn this into a football debate or a football video, but I actually happen to agree with what you're saying. I think I've always thought that it's crazy that a footballer earns more than, for example, a nurse or a doctor or someone who's on the front line in some way. And by the way, as a football fan who remembers football before it became a big money sport, looking at my age later, I don't think that football has actually benefited from the huge amounts of money that are in the game anyway, if I'm honest. So, yeah, I would much rather see people who are saving lives earning more than people who are picking a ball out of the park.
I suppose it's difficult. And I'm trying to be objective here. And obviously, you know that I know nothing about football because every time you try and enter into a football discussion, I'm like, no, let's talk about something else. But if you've got something which is incredibly popular, like a game of football or a celebrity who's singing maybe, and they're having a concert, then you're going to have a lot of people that want to go. You automatically have to put a ticket price at a certain amount. Otherwise, how can you ensure that you manage the amount of tickets that are sold? They just sell out instantly. I don't know.
I think the first thing is you hit the nail on the head straight away when you turn it into a conversation about money, because that's the problem with most of the things that we end up talking about. It's the way that we give value. It's interesting, the words you used, that I don't know exactly how you put it, but that we put a lot of value on footballers and that the fact that they're entertaining us, and we put value on that entertainment. But you would hope that as human beings, we would put most value on breathing and people keeping us breathing. So actually, I think it's how we perceive things. We take it for granted that somebody is going to look after us if we get sick, but we don't take it for granted that somebody's going to entertain us. Therefore, the person who's entertaining us could be being paid as much as £200,000-300,000 a week, whereas the person who is keeping us breathing is probably not earning that in 10 years.
Okay, I think I've got the answer. And this is going to not just fix the NHS, but it could revolutionize medical care across the world. If doctors were actually entertaining us, if the theatre really was a theatre and you were selling tickets, there would be no problem. Free healthcare for all. You heard it here first.
Yes, of course. I mean, and again, not wanting to get political, but there is also an argument that with the amount of health insurance and taxes that we pay, that we are paying for these things already. They're not actually free for the majority of us.
If you're worried about health, by the way, why don't you check out some of my videos from the last few weeks? I did a video about biohacking, about listening to your body, and then about intuitive healing, which, is completely the opposite of going to the doctor and being filmed while you're in an operation to raise money to pay for it.
Yes, no, I did see those videos. They were very good.
Yeah, I'm not testing you, by the way. But anyway, we're supposed to...
I commented on one of them, so that's proof.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, we're supposed to be talking about badges and the badge system, because this links into the video I did about meritocracy. And that video, just as a quick recap, is all about how you can validate your achievements, your skills, your level of effort. And I was talking about TSOP and how that can verify that you've been active on a platform, but also how through utopian systems you can gain badges which can be used to prove the claims that you're making. So how about, would you like to tell us a little bit about the kinds of badges that are set up on Scribble and how they're allocated?
Yeah, it's quite a few there, and the reason that badging is useful, you kind of touched on there, is something we've talked about in these videos before, the idea that a profile should be proof-based. So we always use our friends over at LinkedIn as the example, so we'll continue to do so. If I go over to LinkedIn right now, I could actually create an account saying that I'm a brain surgeon. I know if I researched on Google for a little while, I could probably find out everything I need to know to put into my profile to make it look believable that I'm a brain surgeon. And there's absolutely no evidence required. What we do within Utopian is we try to build into people's profiles. So yes, they do have the ability to write anything they want in the bio, but they also have the ability to back that up with badges, with credits of various different types. So for example, I might credit my profile with links to the books I've written. I might credit my profile with links to the white papers I've written. So these are actually proving that I'm a little bit more than just saying these things. Badges go a little bit further because the badges are partly linked into our learning management system. So if you take a course or you do one of our quests, which are a little bit more fun than doing a course, you actually score a badge for achieving that. Badges can also be given out for all sorts of other things, such as if you attend one of our live events, a level of engagement, you might get a badge for achieving a certain level of engagement. You might score a badge for a certain amount of engagement within the cave, maybe posting poems, posting hiking, whatever. And these badges can also be geared according to rank, so the level of difficulty it is to get that badge will be based on also how many TSOP points you score for getting that badge. So it's a double whammy in a way. You get the badge to prove, actually, you know what, I've not just said in my profile I can do this. It's a badge to prove that I can do this. But you're also scoring TSOP points for it, and the level of difficulty to get to it is having a bearing on how many TSOP points you get. And of course, the TSOP points in turn are linked to your salt and pepper balance, so you are actually mining currency as well as a result of achieving those badges.
That is fantastic and a perfect explanation. Thank you so much. I love the way that sometimes those badges are automatically allocated, so for doing something, and sometimes they are allocated because either you or I deem that they have been earned. So that could be any other member of the community that has achieved status in order to be able to do that permission level. And then linked to the quest. So really, there are multiple ways to achieve those badges, which is interesting because if you think about the way that you earn your badges in real life, then very often it's difficult to verify that you've actually done something. You need to rely on an official examination awarding body, for example, to be able to actually legitimately show that you've won a certificate for getting the right answers for something, for example.
Yeah, and something interesting you touched on there that can take in two different directions. So in terms of governance, we always think of democracies rather than meritocracy, but in terms of a meritocracy, it can actually be that based on certain achievements, you unlock the ability to be an applicant, for example, or a moderator, for example. Why would we do that? Well, because within utopian philosophy, we believe that the members of the community are stakeholders, they're not members. So what they want the community to be is down to them. You've seen yourself with Scribble, people don't tend to come to us and say, can we do this, can we do that? If they want to make that happen, they go and they make it happen because it's their community, it's their home. So having the ability to say within that meritocracy, if you want to be a moderator, you want to be a blog writer, you want to be a whatever, you can take control of that yourself. You can achieve the badges required to do that, and you can go off and become that, right up to being an administrator. The other thing is that the index of members even is controlled by TSOP. So the more TSOP you have, the higher the index you appear, the higher you appear when you go and be members, which means you have a greater presence. Because the higher you are, a bit like in Google, people in Google wants to be on page 1. Within a meritocracy, it's possible to get yourself onto page 1. I know that when I used to build communities in the past, years and years ago, the discussion was like, well, that's not fair, I should be on page 1 of the members page because I've been there behind it. Yeah, but that's not fair. And all these different people would all believe they should be on the first page. And it would usually end up being alphabetical just to some of the other. Ultimately, in utopian, you are in the order of your engagements. The more engaged you are, the higher up you are in terms of presence. It drives up too. So I think the badging system and the way that the utopian communities work in its own right, it is a meritocracy, and it is relevance-based because the communities tend to be broken down by scribers for the publishing industry, and there's the end-brain global, which is for end-brain coaching and so on. So, your communities are relevance-based, and then you're building a presence within those communities according to how engaged you are and how much merit you have to prove that what you're saying is actually true.
Yeah, it is a very fair way to do it. I suppose if you were looking at any elements of unfairness, you could say that people might be disadvantaged if they didn't have the same access to technology. That's something which isn't as fair.
Yeah, but remember, although we love having digital communities, and actually we've kind of become digital community architects, is what we've become, but utopian is not really about digital communities. It's about a philosophy that can be lived in life. And as a result of that, you could take what we're talking about, the meritocracy, the badging system, all of these different things, and you could actually play them out in a real village or on a real island. Or, if I were to win Euro lottery, 120 million for argument's sake, just the top of my head, happened to be the jackpot last Saturday. If I were to win that, then it would be wonderful to buy a little island and actually prove utopian as a physical thing. We've proven the academia that we wrote last year. We've proven it from a digital perspective. But my strong belief is that these things played out in a physical community would work just as well. The leap, Elysium, is getting people to think in a different way. You have these bizarre discussions with people who go, yeah, I get it. And then you start talking about how the system works and that you basically can pull anything out of the community, and as long as you're putting things into the community, you've got that constant exchange. It's like, yeah, but how do I get paid? How do I pay for that? So you don't. But explain that, because then you find yourself going around in circles a little bit because we're so programmed that if you want something, you have to pay for it.
Well, that really is why we've got Pepper, the virtual currency, isn't it, to answer that question? Because as you mentioned before, TSOP is linked. One of the metrics that it measures is how many badges you've got and how many quests you've done and how engaged you are in improving yourself. And so with that being linked to your virtual currency balance, your salt and pepper, it's another incentive. Because unfortunately, we are all programmed to be incentivized by money, whether that's right or not. It's just the way that we work. And I know that in the future, it would be wonderful to imagine that a world existed without money. But at the moment, that's not where we were. That's not where we are. And it's not how people think or behave.
Yeah, I mean, you use the right word, incentivize. I mean, basically, in raw utopian philosophy, there is no money. There is no salt and pepper. There's no credit system at all. The reason salt and pepper was invented and attached to TSOP and brought in is because we knew that with the neurological programming within society right now, it's too much of a societal shift to get people to accept that you can go from being in silo-based democracies using capitalist idealism to a world of small communities that are relevance linked within a meritocracy but don't have any money or credit system at all. It's just too much. People can't accept that. They won't accept that. It doesn't make people bad. It's just too much of a leap for our brains to handle. But
Yeah,
my belief is that the academia is sound. I think that we've proven it works with TSOP, which plugs into salt and pepper. But I believe that 150, 200 years from now, those acorns could grow into entire trees of meritocracy communities linked together that don't require any credit system at all.
it's a shame that we're not going to be around to find out for sure, isn't it?
I am personally. I'm already 242.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Realised. Well, congratulations. You're doing all right. Okay, so we would love to hear what you think about this. So please stick it in the comments down below. And of course, down there, you will find all of the normal ways to get in touch with us. And there is just enough time for me to ask you to like, subscribe, and put that bell notification on. And remember, if you like this channel, don't tell me, tell your friends. I'll see you next time.